St. Louis officer Tamaris Bohannon was murdered in 2020, responding to a call for a shooting in Tower Grove South. Nearly 4 years later, we're learning so much more about that day and about this man that you see here, the accused killer, Thomas Kimworthy. First Alert 4's Caroline Hecker is covering the case and brings us up to speed on what police rookies faced the day they tried to save their comrade.
Much of Tuesday morning's testimony pieced together the chaos that erupted in the moments after Tamaris Bohannon was shot in that Tower Grove South neighborhood. Responding officers testified to the tense moments and decisions made to not only get Officer Bohannon help, but to protect themselves from that gunfire. Jurors first heard from the city's medical examiner, who testified Bohannon was shot on the left side of his head near his ear. That grave injury, his fellow officers testified, left him lying motionless and lifeless on the ground. Now, unsure of where the gunfire was coming from, officers told the jury they made their way to him behind cover.
I broke cover, I ran back across the area, and I grabbed Officer Bohannon initially by the drag handle, except it failed, and so I grabbed him by the straps of his vest and I hoisted him up as best I could.
So we were able to get him in the car enough. We weren't fully able to get him in the car because, like I said, the car's only, 4 feet wide. He's 6 foot tall. So I was able to get him in enough to where I was able to basically I stood on the rail of the car and thrusted him in, and then I held onto the shotgun rack while we took off down Spring.
The actions of his fellow officers that day, heroic, according to their supervisor, Sergeant Ray Jackson, who also testified. Each of those initial responding officers with less than a year on the force. Thomas Kimworthy's defense team continues to argue he suffered from schizoaffective disorder and was paranoid and hearing voices at the time of the shooting, believing someone was after him. That's likely to become an issue that will come into focus in the next several days. In the newsroom, Caroline Hecker, First Alert 4.
St. Louis